So, Tintin began its life in 1929 as a Belgian comic written by the author Georges Remy, also known as Hergé. And please forgive me if I am mispronouncing those names because I obviously am. Anyway, as of 2020, Tintin is 91 years old. And over its long life, it's had many adaptations. Live action series, animated series, and most recently, well, a few years ago really, a movie directed and produced by the legendary Steven Spielberg. Anyway, there's a certain animated series I wish to go into, and by going into it, I wish to discuss one episode of it. And this is the 91-92 Tintin series, and the episode is Tintin in America. So, the premise is that Tintin, a world-renowned reporter, wants to write an authentic article on the mafia in America, and to do so, he goes to Chicago. The mafia there are not happy about that, because they believe Tintin will ruin everything for them. So, they attempt to stop him. At first with bribery, and then with the classic attempted murder. They manage to wound Tintin a bit, almost drown him at some point, but his trusty dog Snowy saves him, and Tintin retaliates by getting them all arrested. And that is basically the whole episode, and it takes place in a single episode really, no multi-parters like you'd expect further on into the series, which consists of 21 episodes actually. No, not at all. Just this episode. And I believe that's because they took out a chunk of the original comic from it. Because you see, at one point, Tintin goes searching for one of the mafia members and heads to the Wild West. In the comic, Tintin encounters some Native Americans. And if you know a bit of Tintin's history regarding, regarding certain people, you can see why they would not include this part. And I understand that. The only thing I would say is that it does kind of ruin the pacing of the episode. But then again, you do wonder, would you rather have an episode that's kind of weirdly paced, or all the stuff people would be glad to not have anymore? So, yeah, I do get that. So, yeah, although, I suppose if it was done nowadays, they would probably include the Native Americans, but do it in a much more tasteful way than it was done before. Well, anyway, that's fine. Let's move on. So, this episode is the first episode in this series, or at least I think it is, because I've got the collection of this series, and this is the first episode in disc 1. So, yeah. Kind of a small episode, I would say. It's just Tintin and Snowy, really, against the mafia. No Captain Haddock, no Professor Calculus, no Thompson and Thompson. None of them at all, just that. It's just a small episode, and considering it's the starting episode of the series, I'd say it's really decent. Just one episode to see whether you like it or not, see if you're going to carry on. Yeah, really fine. It's the classic Hergé artwork, the simplistic, cartoonish character designs against a backdrop that's really detailed and realistic. I believe this art form is called ligne claire, which is French for clear line. And yes, it works really well. The contrast is marvellous. For a 90s cartoon, it's really well animated. I think it's exceptional, really. There was one thing I found really weird with one of the mafia members. In a close-up, you see this normally clean-shaven person having a black mark under his nose. Now, it looked like it was a moustache, or meant to be a moustache, or it could have been a shadow, but it did not look shadowy, if you know what I mean. So I'll chalk that up to an error, but that doesn't matter because a lot of animations have them, don't they? Especially, you know, back then. I say back then, I was born 93, so oh god. But yeah, I still found it fine. The voice acting was really well. Tintin's voice acting was brilliant. The mafia guys, they did sort of remind me of the gangsters from the Looney Tunes short. You know, you got the big guy and you got the smaller guy with a hat covering his eyes. Oh god, those episodes that was brilliant. I remember one specific one with Bugs Bunny. Oh god, that was brilliant. But anyway, yeah, apart from that, it was really well. I really liked it. I mean, I even got used to the mafia voices. I thought they were fine in the end. Because again, it's a cartoon. It's for kids. It's brilliant. I mean, if it was an animation for adults, yeah, that would be a bit different. But dude, it's for kids. It's fine, and it gets even better throughout the series. I really, really recommend it. I truly do. I recommend pretty much everything to do with Tintin. I guess even the controversial parts, because that sort of stuff lets you go into the mindset of, you know, the people back then, what they thought. Because it is intriguing. As bad as it is intriguing, you know. Because, you know, if we don't learn from their mistakes, then how will we grow, you know? So yeah, Tintin, this episode is awesome. The series is awesome. And yeah, I really recommend it. So, I hope you all, well, I'll say all, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you keep safe during this terrible, terrible time. And I will see you later.